What are these boxes, papers, boxes, papers, boxes, papers? This is meant to be a space station. Solar panels, modules, docking ports, space shuttle. Not that good. You saw this in an earlier video. Built a space station for it. And in 2015, a gorilla suit got sent up to the station. My gorilla suit. Okay, so we can put that one back. The main focus on this video is the Falcon 9 build, which I only completed a couple of minutes ago, and I have only done one rehearsal, which is very quick, and it was rushed. The building was rushed, so it didn't turn out that well, but it's okay, I guess. From nothing, just papers, velcro, a little bit of tape, and a good mind. So we can learn how this thing works, put satellites into orbit, how the ISS captures and berths the Dragon spacecraft, which is hidden inside some magical form of metal called a what was it again? Fairing. Hidden by magical fairing. How it captures and berths the Dragon spacecraft. So if you just leave this, you'll be needing it at the end of the video. Bye bye. Take a look at the Falcon 9. So, standing at 60 meters tall, the Falcon 9, SpaceX had created it for a reusable spacecraft and to make spaceflight easier. Which doesn't really make sense because no humans are travelling on it. So when you're making spaceflight easier by making a rocket that is designed to carry humans but carries no humans, makes total crazy. Okay, so and it's making it reusable. It's only reusable. Big first stage. You probably know land. We'll be explaining that in more detail. So, oh yeah, one quick mention. It refuels before the launch. So you'll hear some pissing and hissing and some smoke coming out of the rocket before launch. It's nothing bad, it's just the fueling. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. There's always that main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off! And that is lift off the Falcon 9 rocket. Okay, you'll be noticing something. The Falcon 9 doesn't spin like other rockets do. But if you look on its first video, right after launch, when it still has not cleared the launch pad, it does a clear 45 degrees turn. Not many people could see this because of the billowing smoke, which apparently can kill you if it comes out of a volcano, but maybe not rocket fuel. And then Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX, was being questioned why the rocket spinned just after launch, or more like rolled. And then Elon Musk just replied, "Just for fun." What a good choice. So there we are at launch, and we're going to tilt as to get into orbit. Those people who never played Kerbal Space Program before, or any space mechanics game, you technically tilt to get into orbit, and that's the basics. Okay, once they leave the atmosphere, first stage, nearly run out of fuel, not completely. Magic happens. This stage carries on burning until it gets into orbit, but let's leave that for a moment. Let's focus more on this. But why? Well, what are these stuff sticking out the bottom? They're landing legs. And why would it land if it's going to burn up in the atmosphere? Well, it's not going to burn up in the atmosphere. How does it not burn up in the atmosphere? Because it goes really slowly. Because then how come rockets don't burn at launch? You see the aerodynamic forces, but that's because they're not going fast enough. Clever, huh? Well, they slow themselves down by the fuel. I said they're nearly out of fuel, so around 1 kilometer high of the ground, deploying the landing legs. Oh, also, before, once they just came through the atmosphere, there are these grid fins up here, which slow down the rocket without using extra fuel. And that's clever! So it carries on landing, until it landed. And that's simple enough. Well, these legs do not recreate it, because the real ones are actually like this. They land like that, so, like this. So, just don't say in the comments, that's not how you land a Falcon 9. Some Falcon 9s land on ships, which were apparently the first ones, and some Falcon 9s land on land. Land on land. Okay, that's an interesting word. I'm not good at English, so I can't remember what that thing's called. So they land on land. And I don't know what's the point of landing them on the ship, because number one, the ship's wobbly, if you've ever been on a ship before. Unlike me, who I haven't. I've been on a paddling boat though. I'm not sure if that counts as a ship. Oh no, I have been a ship before. Well, that's a long story. So why couldn't they just land on land for the whole time? But on the first and second Falcon 9 landings, failures. On the first one, so it experienced something called, I can't remember. No, that's not what it's called. It's called something else. Watch this Everyday Astronaut video. Biggest booms in rocket history. It shows the first two Falcon 9 failures, but a quick depth in them. The first one, it failed, and then it kind of tilted, and then it crashed. Obviously, and it lost control. Something due to some engine failure, and then the second engine failure, it landed safely, but then it big explosion. For effects. Yeah, it's either the failure 1 or failure 2 that had sticky engines failure. No idea which one. Oh well, it landed. That's the good news. And if you get the other ones, because it's in space, the fairing can deploy because it's low thrust. Because when weightlessness needs lower thrust, because there's no gravity to try to pull out of. So and that you need higher thrust, and because it's lower thrust, it won't damage the engine. So why don't you just go ahead and deploy the fairings? Yeah, this one's risky. Yeah. Okay, so I decided not a satellite, not the Hubble Space Telescope, but to just put the Dragon spacecraft on top. I know it's meant to have solar panels, but how are you meant to make retractable and expandable solar panels? I don't know. So I actually made this model earlier, but I ripped the solar panels off. So it carries on burning till it's in orbit, and this one gets released. And well, it needs to get to the space station. But then 2 different orbits. Look, that one there. This one up here. I mean, more like this one's up there and this one's down here, because why would you get into a higher orbit than the highest space station there is. I mean, the only space station there is. So, in my rehearsal, I told the audience, gave them out 3 flight documents to read how to rendezvous with another craft. I also had some more documents how to dock, but I thought that would be too boring for them, so I gave them those documents. I didn't bother to read it. Carried on watching my entertaining maybe video. I don't know how you guys find it, entertaining or not, but let me know somehow. How? I don't know. Oh, just let me know if it was entertaining. So I gave them a long document to read about spacecraft and how to get them close together. Rendezvous means meet up, so meeting up in space. Yay! So how to rendezvous. So, and because, well, let's explain it to you. So imagine if the SpaceX first stage, second stage, and fairing are the Earth, is the Earth. This is this, 250 kilometers up. And this is this, the space station, 400 kilometers up. So first of all, you need to learn some rocket science here. So when you burn in the direction that you are orbiting, because Earth is circular, I better make this thing as circular as I can. That's more like a triangle, but who cares? So this is the way that's orbiting. Even at 250 kilometers, which is still classified as, not at 250 kilometers, which is still classified as space, there's still a little bit of air drag. I think that's what it's called, atmospheric drag. So by like 20 orbits, you'll come back down to Earth. So by a few orbits, you need to change that. So the direction that you're orbiting, if you're facing the direction that you're orbiting and then burn your engines, it's called a prograde burn. And then imagine if your orbit's like circle. If you do a prograde burn, your orbit on the other, so if your rocket is on over here and then you're burning a prograde, your opposite side will get larger. So over here it burns a prograde, and obviously over here it burns prograde to make their orbit larger. This is called a phasing orbit. And now let's throw away the space shuttle. Who needs it? So when Earth is in a phasing orbit, this needs to catch up with a space station. This thing is tricky to lift. It needs to catch up with the space station, and because this is in a lower orbit, it will eventually catch up. Okay, close up, but it's not exactly there yet. So now I need to burn prograde again to make it even bigger on the other side. And then you go over here, you burn prograde again, and then you come round over here. Just imagine that came all the way around here, and you burn prograde. Well, eventually it will soon meet up, and that's a quick, in-depth review on how to rendezvous spacecraft. Now, more like capturing and birthing a spacecraft. As this is not an exact replica of the ISS, yes, I know it is not an exact replica. Please don't blame me. I do not have a cupola. I do not have a cupola module, which is an all-window module, which is where they control this clever robotic arm. So what happens? It comes close, and because people on the ground are lazy, people on the space station have to do the work for them. So once it comes close enough where they get too tired and they leave it to the astronauts guide the robotic arm and they capture it just like that. So now they can move it wherever they want. They can make it even hit the space station if they want, but why would they do that? So especially trying to birth the spacecraft. No, not that birth. It's spelled differently with an ER instead of an IR. Then turn it round this way. This looks like fun playing with. But you have to make your own. Pays off the work. And now it births the spacecraft into the docking port. And now humans and... where'd the gorilla go? Humans and gorillas inside the space station can enjoy the supplies. Now you're probably thinking that this is the capsule and this is the service module where they get all their extra fuel and supplies from. But no, this thing is called a trunk. Please don't mistake it for a car. And don't mistake it for Harry Potter. Harry Potter and his trunk. No, please don't mistake it for that. Just describe it as a capsule that's acting like a car or Harry Potter. So here's the trunk, and then once it's birthed, the robotic arm, again, and the astronauts, again, lazy people down on Earth, opens the trunk up and grabs stuff out of it and gives them to the astronauts. And technically the astronauts are controlling the robotic arm, so I'm giving myself food. It's that simple, but just in space terms. So that's the mission completed. Not yet, not yet. It still needs to come back down to Earth. That was only half the mission. So, still in orbit. We came out. Bye-bye. We don't need you anymore. Not anymore for this video. And it comes. So once it gets released... oh, I do need you. Oh, well, say I do not need you anymore. 3 seconds later, I need you again. Well, because of the spring force of the undocking, it moves away at 0.1 meters per second, which is 10 centimeters per second, which is around this fast. Like this. Okay? Like that. Okay? So, but in space terms, it's relatively slow. 2 hours later. Okay, bye-bye, we don't need you. Once it gets to a safe distance, it can now turn around and burn something called retrograde. Now imagine if this is the Earth again. I'm so sorry, I promise I will buy a model of the Earth, whether that's tomorrow or in 10 years. So when you burn in the direction of your orbit, the other side gets higher. But then when you burn on the other side, you're probably wondering what you get. The clever ones will know they'll do the exact same opposite and make it smaller. And only the very, very clever ones will know that this is called a retrograde burn. How interesting. And this brings them, well, their orbit isn't a circle or oval or ellipsis anymore. It comes back down to Earth, and before, the Dragon spacecraft just burned up as a whole in the atmosphere. But now, the newer and the refurbished Dragon spacecraft, it can split into 2. Apparently this is the old version, so I'm sorry. It splits into 2, and then the capsule has a heat shield, so the and a parachute, so the capsule can be returned to Earth. And this is the flight of Dragon spacecraft, starting from a massive Falcon 9 craft that is just cut. Chinese spaghetti man, I don't know what they're called. Cut into the tiny Dragon spacecraft. Oh, come on, it got stuck with Velcro. Oh, well, don't look. Behind the scenes action. Okay. All done. Landing legs, not that good. Now, as with other spacecraft I've made, the space station, this wonderful ship. Not sure if that's wonderful. Space Shuttle. My Lego Saturn V. I don't know how long it took me to build them. I'm assuming that this took me around an hour. I'm assuming that took me around an hour to 2 hours. I'm assuming the Space Shuttle took me an hour. I'm assuming that the Lego Saturn V took me 15 hours and it took me a month or two to save up for. It's very expensive, you know. Well, it's the end of the video. Thank you for watching and I hope you laughed at this and enjoyed yourselves. I hope you are. Well, bye.